Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Welcome to another Vlogmas video. We are here for another video, another Vlogmas, another collab. We are going to be talking about some brands that I tried for the very first time this year in 2022. If you are new here, hello and welcome. My name is Kelly and I love all things makeup and beauty. I love talking, I love makeup, I love talking about makeup. So if you like to chat about makeup too, I would love to have you subscribe and be part of the KBeLLA fam. Why don't we go ahead, let's find out who I'm collaborating with and what brands I tried in 2022. Today's video is in collaboration with the beautiful Angelica Nyqvist. Angie and I became friends this year. I have gotten to know her more over this last year. We got to meet in person and I just love Angie so much. This was her video idea. I said I wanted to collab with her. She was already filming this video because she had a Vlogmas planned way in advance, but she was kind enough to say, hey, if you want to collab, we can do this video together. So thank you, Angie, for that. But I love Angie's videos. First of all, our makeup styles are very different. I tend to stick to more neutral makeup. She loves bright, bold, colorful makeup. I think that's part of why I love her channel so much too, because I get to see a makeup style that is so different from mine. I get to see all of the colorful, beautiful makeup. I also tend to stick to more mainstream palettes. She does a ton of indie on her channel, so if you would like a great variety, definitely go check her out. I'm sure you probably already know who she is, but another thing that I really love about Angie too is she is totally into supporting other women. I just do YouTube as a hobby. If you're new here, if you're coming over from Angie's channel, I'm actually an elementary school teacher. I'm a mom of two. I have two young kids, a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old, and I just do this for fun. Like, YouTube is totally a thing on the side for me, and so I don't know all of the ins and outs, but Angie does this as a career. She has been so helpful. I've been able to like bounce ideas off of her. She's told me about some of the back end things that happen, some of the ways that she's handled things, and she's just been super helpful and supportive in that way, and I've just loved getting to know her, and I love her and her channel so much, so definitely go check her out. But why don't we go ahead and talk about the brands that are new to me in 2022. First of all, we'll start with a brand that is new to me and I was introduced to them by Angie, and that is the brand Odins Eye. And if you don't know, Angie is from Sweden. She's a Swedish YouTuber, and Odins Eye is a Swedish brand. So Angie collaborated with them this year. She came out with the Hella palette, and I had been wanting to try Odins Eye. I had heard people talking about them. I'd seen videos on Odins Eye. I've heard good things about their eyeshadow palettes. So when Angie collaborated with them, I thought that was the perfect time for me to dig into their eyeshadow palettes. This is a beautiful color story. I also really loved it because you do have bright pops of color in here. You have some greens, you have some pinks, this bottom row, you also have some mustard yellows, but it's safe enough for a neutral lover like me who's scared to like dip into the very colorful makeup. This is a great way for a neutral lover to dabble in makeup. I thought the mattes were super creamy and blendable. The shimmers were amazing, and I just am really glad that I got to try Odins Eye. I hadn't tried anything else since picking this up, but I think part of the reason why I haven't is because you can't get Odins Eye in store. They are a brand, like I said, they're a Swedish brand, so you have to order online, and a lot of their makeup is very colorful. Although they have done some collabs with more neutral and toned down palettes, but that's kind of what's been the holdup for me. I had been wanting to try them, but I was just waiting for the right moment, for the right palette. The palette that had just enough neutrals mixed in with their color. The Hella palette was that one for me. I know they just came out with holiday palettes, and I'm kind of kicking myself because I think it was the Christmas Eve palette. Looks beautiful, and I saw people like showing the palette and doing looks with it. Angie did some looks with it as well. And I was kind of like, I should have picked that up. Like, I should have picked that up. That was a great color story. Like, that would have been a super fun palette, and I didn't, and I'm kind of kicking myself now. But that's kind of what the holdup was with Odins Eye. But I was super excited to try them out, and they're definitely a brand that's on my radar right now. Another brand that I was interested in trying, but I was kind of holding off, waiting for the right moment, was Lunar Beauty. So Lunar Beauty is Manny MUA's makeup brand, and I had heard my friend Heather Austin raving about them time and time again. She loves Lunar Beauty so much, but a lot of their palettes, again, were colorful, and you can't get them in store. You have to shop online. I think they have them at the Morphe store in California, but I'm in Texas. So I started by first picking up a liquid lipstick and a lip gloss. I got the liquid lipstick in Perfection and the lip gloss in Moon, and I loved them. I thought the formula was great. This is super creamy, very long lasting, doesn't settle into the fine lines, and then the gloss has some pigment to it, but it's not too overbearing where it can't go on top of a lipstick, but it also has enough pigment where if you wanted to wear it just on top of a lip liner, you could. So I really loved that. That was my introduction to the brand. But again, I wanted to try more. I was kind of waiting. I would check out all of their releases. It wasn't until they came out with the Nude Prism palette. When I saw the Nude Prism palette, I knew that this was the palette for me. This was what I was waiting for. I was waiting for a color story that was more neutral, and Manny brought it. He brought it. So you have these beautiful mattes here. You have a gorgeous array of shimmers in the middle. This is like a neutral lover's dream, okay? It is amazing. So I picked this palette up. I absolutely love it. And I also wanted to get one of their blushes. Again, I held off because you can't get them in store, so I couldn't really see them in person, but I knew that my friend Heather Austin really loved their face palette. And then I had a girlfriend hear me say in one of my videos that I didn't pick up the Nude Prism blush, and she was like, hey, if you're interested, I have the Moon Prism blush, and I would not mind sending you this palette if you want it. So I was like, yes, definitely. So now I have my hands on the blush palette. I absolutely love it. I think that this was a better fit for me than the Nude Prism, because I feel like the Nude Prism had a couple bright pops of color, whereas these are more on the neutral end. And then of course, Manny did come out with his 12 Days of Lunar Advent calendar. I did do a whole video on this. I'm not gonna open it in case you have it and you don't wanna be surprised, but I kind of held off, and I'm glad I did. You know, I wanted to make sure that the products that I was getting were products that I would use. And so I was waiting for the right moment. I was waiting for Manny to come out with an eyeshadow palette that was like for me, for the neutral lover in me, and he didn't disappoint, and now I love the brand. Jumping over to another indie brand, I don't try a ton of indie, and the reason why is you can't get these products in store. You have to order them online for one, but also I feel like at least a lot of the indie brands that I'm familiar with, they do a lot of colorful eyeshadow palettes, a lot of colorful blushes, a lot of colorful highlighters, and I just am into stuff that is more toned down and more neutral. However, I did finally get my hands on some liquid lipsticks from Unearthly Cosmetics. They released, I think it was like maybe a fall set or a holiday collection, and so I picked up Lurk, which I was wearing in a video recently, Autumn, which I haven't tried yet, but honestly, Autumn and Lurk are so close in color that I really don't recommend getting both of them. Like, get one or the other, don't get both. And in my Vlogmas video from yesterday, I was wearing Haunted by Unearthly Cosmetics. I wanted to try their liquid lipsticks. I love a liquid lipstick. I feel like this is a great way if I'm wanting something that has color in it, like a liquid lipstick is the way that I'm gonna go over an eyeshadow palette. So I finally got to try out Unearthly Cosmetics, super excited about it. But again, their palettes are super colorful, so I haven't found a palette that has been speaking to me yet. So that's why I just went the liquid lipstick route, but they were great quality. So I'm glad that I was able to try the brand out. A mainstream brand that I've heard a lot from recently, but I didn't try out until the Sephora VIB sale, was Gucci. Everyone has been raving about that Gucci bronzer, and I would love to try the Gucci bronzer at some point, but I heard Charlotte Holdcroft and I think Morgan Turner talking about these new Gucci blushes, and I got my hand on Rosy Beige, and let me tell you, first of all, Gucci is expensive, okay? Gucci's pricey, so that's why I haven't tried it. And you know, I saw the bronzer, I knew that I wanted to try it out, but again, the price tag was holding me off. It was also like big and bulky. I mean, their packaging is kind of big and bulky, and so I had bronzers in my collection already, so I just hadn't picked anything up from the brand. Their lipsticks I heard people raving about, again, expensive, held off, but finally, bit the bullet, purchased a blush. I think this blush is fantastic. I think it's super beautifully pigmented. I get a nice like sheen on there without there being shimmer or glitter, but I get a nice satin sheen on the cheeks when I wear this blush, and I definitely was not disappointed, and now I would be interested in trying more from them, but it's just a pricey brand because it's Gucci. I have two more brands I want to mention. The first is another collab. And it is a collab between Adept and Heather Austin. So Heather collabed with Adept earlier in the year. I want to say maybe it was February or March-ish, and Adept was kind enough to send this my way. It was my first chance to try out their eyeshadow formula again. I feel like these eyeshadow palettes are so colorful. Like if I look at this, it seems intimidating to me. Not that it doesn't seem beautiful, it just seems intimidating. But I wanted to support my girl Heather. I would have purchased this even if Adept didn't send it to me. But when I got to try it, I was like, oh my goodness. This is what people are talking about when they say that like these indie brands do shimmers like nobody's business, okay? These shimmers are absolutely amazing. The mattes I think are fine, like it's good for a matte, but it's the shimmers that really stand out to me. It's the duochromes, it's the shiftiness. They're just such great quality that Adept blew me out of the water. This was so amazing that I had to go on and purchase a second palette, and I purchased the reformulated Amunet palette from them. This is like their more neutral palette. You still have a bright purple here, you still have some beautiful shifty shades, but this one has more of a neutral color story, and again, the formula was great, the mattes were super creamy and blendable, the shimmers were amazing. I've only tried this a couple times, but in trying the Adept eyeshadows, I'm like, you know, I definitely want to try more from the brand. I picked up their face palette in Gianna, which had 2 highlighters and a bronzer, and now that I've tried them, I'm more apt to purchase from them. But again, another brand where it was a little bit intimidating because of the color. I was waiting for something that screamed to me that I wanted to try out. Some of their palettes in the early days, like the Plain Jane, I think were just all shimmers, and I was like, okay, well, I need some mattes. I don't want to have to mix and match. But now that I've tried them, I think they're amazing, and I think they're so worth it. Last but not least, I was able to try out Nomad Cosmetics for the first time. Again, Nomad was a brand that I had heard about, but you can't purchase them in store. A lot of their palettes are super colorful. So I was just waiting in the wings, trying to see if they were going to come out with a palette that was more my speed, that didn't have as much color. And you know, there was some hesitation just because I didn't want to purchase a palette that I wasn't able to see and like not love it, you know? But Nomad has a Starfish program, and so I was nominated twice. First, I was nominated to receive the Paradise Islands palette by Nomad, and this was for Mother's Day. My friend Cara C nominated me, Nomad picked me as the recipient, and I was able to try this palette out. Now, as you can see, this is not a palette that I would purchase myself because it's so super colorful, but it's fun to play with. Every now and then you want to dabble in some color, you want to play in some color. The shimmers were super pigmented, the mattes were super blendable and creamy, and I got some fun looks out of it. Again, this isn't a color story that like screams to me, but it's a nice color story to have in my collection, and I think the artwork is just absolutely amazing. But then I was nominated again as a Starfish, and this time I got to pick my own palette. I was nominated in September because I am a teacher, and so they were nominating teachers, and Nomad was kind enough to pick all of the nominees and send them a palette, and they reached out to me and said, which palette would you like? At the time, I knew they were coming out with a new palette, but I didn't know what it looked like yet, and I said, I want your new palette when it releases, and it happened to be the Hudson Valley palette. This is a palette I would have purchased had I not been sent it by Nomad as part of their Starfish program, because this has more of, although you do have bright colors, okay, you have red, you have a gold, you have maroon, you have some grays, you have a green. You do have bright colors in here, but it's more my speed where it's neutral enough. We have some neutrally tones that I can pull in here that I feel comfortable using this eyeshadow palette. It is very matte heavy, but you have 3 beautiful shimmers. The quality is great. Like I said, this is one where if they hadn't sent it to me, I would have purchased it myself. And now, after having tried this, after having tried both of these palettes, I would be more apt to purchase them in the future if I see another color story that I love. I feel like you could see a theme here in brands that I tried out for the first time in 2022, because a lot of these were brands that you can only purchase online. I can't go in store. And I feel like I am someone, this happens a lot, where I'll see a release and I'm like, no, I don't want that. It's not for me. But then a ton of people rave about it and I'm like, okay, maybe I want it. And then if I can go in store and look at it in person, then I'm more apt to like give into temptation and purchase it. But the brands like Lunar Beauty, Adept, Odins Eye, Nomad, Unearthly, where I have to make the purchase online, I feel like it's easier for me to hold off and to say no. And then a lot of these brands, especially these indie brands, have makeup that is super colorful, which isn't always necessarily my speed. But after trying these, I wasn't disappointed and I was excited to try the brands, and now I'm more apt to purchase from them. It's just that initial hesitation when I can't see the item in person, and then it's just easier for me to decline when I'm not like walking past it in a store, you know? So this was a very fun video idea. Thank you, Angie, for coming up with it and letting me jump in on this collab with you. And thank you so much for collaborating with me. I can't wait to watch Angie's video and see the brands that are new to her this last year and her thoughts on it. Again, if you, for some reason, have been living under a rock and you don't know who Angie is, go check her out. You'll love her. She is the color queen. She has such good content. She has been posting every single day for like a long time. Like a long time. If you want a ton of content, definitely check her out. I normally only post like twice a week, 3 times a week on a good week, but I am doing my own week of Vlogmas, so I will have videos every day this week. So if you're coming over from Angie's channel, hello, thank you so much for stopping by. I would love if you wanted to join me in the rest of my Vlogmas and have videos every day. You're welcome to subscribe, but otherwise, that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.